Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. Round number 1 continues with episode 3 of the Mae Young Classic, and it just might be my favorite episode thus far, and we are going to talk about it right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Mae Young Classic episode 3 review, results, and reactions right here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Let's do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Alright, wrestling fans, thank you so much for joining me. I love the Mae Young Classic, man. This episode was great, and I promise you guys, in the interest of not having repeat episodes myself, I am not going to waste the first 10 minutes of this show telling you guys how much Michael Cole ruins this show. You all know, you were there, you listened to it, you heard it. The man is friggin' awful, alright? He ruins everything his voice touches, and it definitely continues this week. The trend that we have got to get used to before the end of this thing. We just have to try to tune him out, and that is the best thing that I did to get through tonight's episode, which was full of fantastic action. We had some big names returning to the Mae Young Classic. None bigger than Kaitlyn, the former WWE Divas Champion, coming back in the redemption story of this year's Mae Young Classic, and she looks fantastic. She looks great, but she was paired up against Kavita Devi. Kavita Devi, Duvi, however you want to say the last name. She has definitely improved from last year's Mae Young Classic, but she has not improved to the point where I think she's anything that impressive. We have seen other big women in this tournament already that do the big girl thing way better and way more convincing than we've seen in Kavita. It's not that she was bad, it's just after 1 year, I expected a whole lot more of an improvement, much like we have seen in other returning from last year's Mae Young Classic, which we will talk about later on with another match we are going to cover tonight. This match with Kavita Devi and Kaitlyn was very entertaining. It was quick, which was good, and Kaitlyn was on the defense for most of the matchup. The bigger and more powerful Kavita was trying to just overpower the returning champion, but it would not be enough. She would not be denied, and Kaitlyn hit a very impressive rolling senton like Kevin Owens does that Otto Von splash in the corner. She definitely did her own rendition of it, and it was beautiful to look at. She followed it up with an absolutely fantastic looking spear. It looked like she executed it a little bit higher up on the chest than Charlotte or Roman or Goldberg do. She didn't hit her in the midsection. I don't know if that was by design or not, but it definitely looked very impressive. It looked forceful, it looked painful, and it definitely got her the win as she got the 3 count here. And Kaitlyn moves on, doing better than last year's redemption story, Serena Deeb, who did not exit the first round. Kaitlyn looks to go on and have her name etched in history by winning the Mae Young Classic, kicking off episode number 3 in fantastic fashion. I was definitely already excited for the next matchup after we did the preview and predictions. 2 NXT UK female superstars that absolutely have been lighting the world up on fire. I didn't know too much about Jinny. I have never seen her physically wrestle on TV, on YouTube. I didn't go in and look. I don't barely have enough time to watch all the wrestling we have to cover on this channel. I can't go searching for one girl's matches, as much as now I may regret doing so. The girl is great. She's got a fantastic look. She's a fashionista. She looks like a runway model. Not classically beautiful, but she is very attractive and super rail skinny. I feel like the way she moves in the ring and the way she sells and the way she takes bumps is the way Alicia Fox dreams she wrestles. Like, she's got that same sort of body type, that just lanky and long and very flaily in the ring, that it could come across as sloppy as we're used to seeing on Raw with Alicia, but in this case, Jinny is great. Her execution of everything was very convincing. She made everything look fantastic. She did execute a very unique submission maneuver. I don't even really know how to call it. The guys on the desk and the girls on the desk, they didn't know what to call it. They just kept saying, "Oh, a very unique maneuver," and I'm sitting here just trying to figure it out. And the best way I could describe it to you is it's probably an upside down surfboard. You know, Daniel Bryan does that classic wrestling maneuver, the surfboard stretch, where he got the guy by the arms and legs and then lays on his back like a turtle and stretches the guy's limbs while holding him up in the air, which doesn't look fun for anybody involved. This was pretty much done on the opposite way. It was very unique, it was very different, and it looked painful. Toni Storm looked like she was not having a good time. It pulled at the shoulders, it was pulling and hyperextending the arms, all the same time, compressing and bending the spine while putting so much pressure on the knees. It just looked like a very bad time for Toni Storm. But this would not be the end for the Thunder from Down Under, and there was just a calm in this match between these two girls. And I think that comes from them having such a long-standing rivalry and a lot of experience with each other. Their chemistry definitely showed. The two wrestlers had an excellent match tonight. Storm played defense on most of this match as well. Jinny, like I said, with the unique reverse surfboard and lots of stiff strikes. Toni Storm, let me tell you something. This girl is fantastic. She hit a German suplex that would have made Brock Lesnar cringe on Jinny, and she ended up rolling herself into the bottom turnbuckle so that Toni Storm could follow up with a hip attack to the face of the fashionista, and then would hit the Storm Zero, that flipping Tiger Driver, for the win. Toni Storm advancing on, as many of us expecting, but I took from this match how much I am looking forward to seeing both of these girls undoubtedly tangle again on the NXT UK program that is coming to us later on this year on the WWE Network. It's going to be friggin' great. These girls did a fantastic job. This is one of my two favorite matches on the night. Actually, I have the first match was okay, but the other three matches on this night, I have a hard time choosing my favorite, and it's all for different reasons. We had a very, very great wrestling match between Toni Storm and Jinny. It felt like old school wrestling. These girls, like I said, they played their experience up to a T. They definitely showed us some stuff that we are not accustomed to seeing here in the States. I'm sure they pulled out all the stops from everything that they've done with each other, and it was great. But in the case of this next match we are going to talk about, Karen Q versus Xia Li, I expected this to be another one of those matches like we had in the last episode of the Mae Young Classic with Ariel Monroe, where I told you guys you can't always have a classic, right? You can't always have something to write home to mom about and tell everybody how awesome it is. But that's what I expected here. I expected to not be invested. I was just going to probably watch it to watch it, and we were going to have just somebody move on in advance that I was not going to be invested in or care about very much. Thankfully, this was not the case. This was not a subpar match, and it started off right at the beginning before a punch was even thrown. Karen Q from New York City, all right? They want to say she's Korean or wherever they say she's from, Japan, I forget where it was. The bottom line is she's from Queens, right here. I don't know that much about her and didn't know what to expect from her. Xia Li as well. Last year she was not impressive at all to me, but she had only been wrestling, I think, for 3 months at the time. She has shown a tremendous amount of improvement, and they definitely, I had no expectations going in, and they shattered my expectations beyond. Right at the start of this match, these girls hit a Street Fighter style pre-fight kata pose, like staring each other down, doing that thing, waiting for the referee to be like, fight. The crowd got all amped up. I got amped up, but the WWE made one crucial error here, at least for those of us watching at home, and they failed to go to the wide shot. If they would have caught the wide shot of those two girls in their respective styles pose in that face-off, that would have just been a fantastic visual. Imagine they caught it from the wide and zoomed in on it slowly as the girls posed there right until they got into the combat, which was even bigger than that pose. It just put you in that fight feel, that old school kung fu movie feel, and you were just waiting for one of them to be like, yeah, let's go. And it was fantastic. It set the tone for what would be a very physical matchup. Lots of stiff strikes. The agility and athleticism of Karen Q cannot be denied. This girl was all over the place tonight. Her speed and her quickness were the story for her, and I just really enjoyed what these girls brought to the table tonight. It was different from what we have ever seen girls bring to the ring before. This was a fight. This was definitely a fight more than it was a match. It had just that little flavor of martial arts that put it almost above everything else that we saw tonight. Not that it was a 5-star classic or whatever, but it was so different and so refreshing to see something so unique be done in a wrestling match that I enjoyed every minute of this match. Karen Q, like I said, is a super athlete. She did a beautiful handspring flipping elbow into the corner, executed a fantastic full Nelson slam, and towards the end of this matchup pulled off one of the most beautiful frog splashes I have seen executed by anybody. The elevation she got into the air, the split in the legs, and instead of getting wingspan, she got leg span, man. It was just absolutely fantastic. And she did miss that spot, which would lead to her losing this matchup. Xia Li unleashed a flurry of kicks that would have made Shinsuke Nakamura shit his pants. I would never want to be in the ring against a Xia Li. She also did this one spot where she went to execute a roundhouse kick and missed, but then followed it up with a back heel kick out of nowhere. I don't even know how she did it. It was all one fluid movement. Her wrestling skill and her martial artistry has improved her game tremendously from last year, where I think she was probably just really, really nervous and just didn't really do what she probably wanted to do. After that frog splash, Xia Li would hit a flipping axe kick to the small of the back of Karen Q and would get the 3 count. I loved this match. I think it was great, and I am now actually invested in Xia Li. I want to see more of what she does. I think it's special. I think it's different from what Asuka's bringing to the table. It's different from Kairi Sane. It's probably going to be different than all of the other influences from Japan, because this girl is the first ever Chinese athlete in the WWE, and I love what she's bringing, and I can't wait to see more from Xia Li. And in the last matchup of this night, which this criticism is going to come with the one anti-Michael Cole section of this video, because it just cannot be denied, and it's actually not really his fault. Allysin Kay, pinkies up, AK-47 versus Mia Yim. My pick to go all the way, because she's just an absolutely beautiful person. I met her in person at House of Glory. She's a friend of the show, and she's just absolutely great, and I want her to end up winning this whole thing. She's a fantastic athlete in the ring. What I did not know coming into this thing is that Mia Yim broke Allysin Kay's nose many years ago on the independent scene. I did know that their rivalry was reignited in Impact Wrestling for a short while. They did wrestle against each other in a few short programs, and it finally takes place under the WWE umbrella at the Mae Young Classic, and there was just way too much copy for the announce team for the entrance of Mia Yim. And I don't understand why they would step all over the debut of Allysin Kay to have to put over all of the positive work that Mia Yim is doing to try to stomp out domestic violence, which is absolutely great. But you couldn't find a different spot to put that little anecdote in at the beginning of the match, maybe make it part of her package before, let her talk about it. By you doing that during the entrance of another superstar is absolutely disrespectful to the superstar. He's like, oh, Allysin Kay, blah, 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 she's done this, she's done that. But let's talk a little bit more about Mia Yim for a second. Why would you do that? Would you do that to anybody on Monday Night Raw? I guess they would. That's a bad example, but that's terrible. That's terrible. This girl's making her first appearance. It's been her dream her whole life to be in the WWE. This is the closest she's going to come to the main roster for now. She's not in NXT as of yet. This may be her one and only moment to watch herself on WWE TV, and you want to talk about the girl that's in the ring. And I know that what they're talking about is relevant and positive and is very meaningful, but there had to have been a better spot to talk about it and not just shit all over the first ever appearance of Allysin Kay. I think that was terrible. But this was another tough, hard-fought, very stiff match. These girls, just like Jinny and Toni Storm from earlier in this evening's show, Mia Yim and Allysin Kay, just their experience and their familiarity with one another definitely brought this match to a level that you don't see in some of the other matches. There's just a comfort, like I said before, in having somebody across the ring that you've tangoed with before, that you're comfortable with giving your body to, that you know you can perform well with, and it definitely lended to making this one of the better episodes in the Mae Young Classic that you will have seen, even including last year's. This whole entire night was full of great matchups. Nice, hard, clean contact. There was a spot in the middle where they were trading slaps, and these slaps were tough. It would put Stephanie McMahon to shame how tough these slaps were. And if you want to talk about a hard slap, you got to talk about the one that hit Mia Yim on the outside. Allysin Kay was standing up against the ring post, and Mia Yim went to execute a chop to the face of AK, pinkies up, and she missed and hit the ring post. And now Michael Cole would sell this thing to the moon and back, as if she went through a flaming barbed wire table, but all she did was smack her hand into a pole at full force. It was a little oversold, but it was very, very brutal, and it was tough to watch, and I just didn't think that was going to play too much of a role in the telling of the story of this match, and it really didn't. Mia Yim went on through the rest of the match, executing everything she needed to execute without really showing the damage to her hand. Whether that was a mistake or not, I don't care, because this match was fantastic. Mia Yim hit 3 drop kicks consecutively at one point, and then would jump to the top rope to execute a 4th one for a very close near fall. Then Mia Yim would execute an absolutely stellar sunset flipping power bomb to AK and almost get the pin once again. The match would continue, and then Allysin Kay would hit the Big D. Now, before this matchup started, they sold in her intro package that the Big D, when it's hit, it's over. Everybody goes down to the Big D. Not just when you're in my room with me, you're not just going down on my Big D. You go down to the Big D when Allysin Kay hits you with it, and she actually does it very, very well. If you looked at that intro package, she delivers it almost just like Luke Harper does now, very reminiscent of a Stan Hansen-like lariat, and I thought it was beautiful. And when she hit Mia Yim with this thing, she didn't actually hit it flush. She didn't get it all the way like she would have liked to, but you automatically assume the match was over. Mia Yim kicks out, and I did not like this decision, because it definitely, on a worldwide stage where more eyes have probably ever viewed Allysin Kay in her life than ever before, her finishing move has now been kind of extinguished. Mia Yim kicked out of the Big D. And I think that was a little bit disrespectful. If Allysin wasn't going to win this match, she shouldn't have hit it. She should have went for it and missed it a couple of times, teased, trying to hit it a couple of times, but never ever get to hit that Big D the way she wants to. That sounds horrible to say, but that's what I gotta say, because that's what it is. And it would have protected the move, it would have protected the superstar, and even down the line, if she ever had to cross paths with Mia Yim once again on WWE TV, she could always have turned around and said, yeah, you beat me at the Mae Young Classic, but I never hit you with my Big D, baby. You never got my Big D in your mouth, so you don't know what it's like to feel that. And everything would have been much better. But aside from that one small thing, Mia Yim would come back and, like I said, kick out from that maneuver. They would hit each other with simultaneous roundhouse kicks, and they both would lay on the floor like Rocky and Apollo from Rocky 2. And then they would both get up. Mia Yim finds herself on the top rope. She's able to grab Allysin Kay's arm and execute the soul food, which is actually Gail Kim's Eat Defeat, and gets the win and the pin in this very, very physical battle on a very, very physical night of battles on the Mae Young Classic episode number 3, round number 1, and it was great. It was great. I really had fun watching this. I want to go back and watch it again just to see Karen Q versus Xia Li again. Hopefully I didn't oversell it, because of my initial viewing, I really felt like that was something special that we just seen between those two girls, and I want to see more stuff like that. Jinny and Toni Storm, special. Every one of these girls tonight are stars. I'll even give it to Kavita Devi. She's got some work to do, but she's got a unique look, and she can be a star. But the rest of the girls that we've seen on this night are 100% bona fide women's division material. You can't tell me, when we see wrestling like we've seen tonight, that I'm wrong. Added to round 2 after this episode, we have Mia Yim going to go one-on-one with Kaitlyn in the second round. That should be a pretty tough fight. And Deonna Purrazzo, the perennial favorite of the Mae Young Classic for most of you guys out there, is going to go up against one of my new piqued interests, Xia Li. And I can't wait to see what these two do to each other in the second round. And next week in episode number 4, round 1 finishes out the field for round 2 as we continue on the road to the Mae Young Classic, which is continued to be ruined this year by its simultaneous tie-in to the Evolution pay-per-view and the multiple random faces from the main roster that we have to see poison this show week after week. The only face that we saw tonight that had any relevance in being there was Shelton Benjamin, due to his actual real-life brother-sister sort of friendship with Mia Yim, so that I could understand. Why am I looking at Sonya Deville? Why do we care that she's there? Why do we have to see the two token other athletes from India in the crowd cheering on Kavita Devi at the start of this thing? Why? Why do we have to waste all this time? Why do we have to keep talking about all these issues and women's things in the Mae Young Classic? Leave that for Evolution. The Mae Young Classic was not bogged down by all of this stuff last year. So this year's got a little bit of a tiny foul taste to it. And you could attribute all of that to Evolution and the invasion by the main roster to this very, very special show, which will remain to be special because the talent that's involved and the matches that we're getting and the girls that are going out there and doing their thing, you have to show them the respect because they are giving us great stuff. Stuff that is outdoing anything you are seeing on the main roster right now. And I can't wait. I can't wait for more. I love the Mae Young Classic. Despite Michael Cole and his garbage, Renee Young and her extra long script, whether if they just cut out half of that shit, it would be a whole lot easier to digest. Let's focus more on the wrestling and less on the public fucking relations, please. And the Mae Young Classic will be made all the better for it. Not that it's bad, because it's been as fun as last year so far. As long as you go and watch it like this. Which I don't really want to. So that's going to do it. That's your official review, results, and reaction from Sledgehammer TV on the Mae Young Classic, episode number 3 of round number 1. Thank you guys, as always, for being here. If you are not already a member of the Sledgehammer Club, I don't know what the hell you guys are waiting for. We are way over the other side of 800. We are creeping and chipping away at that 1,000 subscriber mark. I can taste that shit, man, and it only takes one at a time, and I know it's going to be you. I know it is, because at this point, you're sitting here 25 minutes in, we're watching the Mae Young Classic together, we're talking about it, you're enjoying yourself, we're having a good time. You like the Big D. If you like the Big D, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button, smash that thumbs up, smash it with your Big D if you got one. Hit it with it, smack it right across the face with it. Just make sure that you hit that thumbs up. Make sure everybody knows that you like this show, and I know that you like this show. It's very important to keep everything moving in a positive direction on this channel. And then, of course, we have to share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if they're digging the Mae Young Classic as much as we all are. I want you guys to light up that comment section. Tell me what you thought of tonight's episode of the Mae Young Classic. What are you looking forward to seeing on next week's episode? Who do you think's going to win the whole thing? Let me know everything you want to know down in that comments section below. Light it up like I know you guys always do. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you guys there, as I like to interact with you as much as I possibly can. And if any one of you guys have specific questions you want to ask me, feel free to shout them out, and maybe they'll show up on a subscriber questions Q&A sort of episode type thingamabob we can do here. But that's up to you guys. I can't do that if you don't want to leave me questions. So put the hashtag STVQA, and I'll know that you're asking me a question that you would like to see answered here on the air. And I will also know whether or not you made it to the end of this video, you fuckers that are leaving early, but I know you always come back and finish it at a later time anyway, because everything is awesome here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. That's going to be the end of this episode. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is my trusty team, Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, and the Wrestling God of Thunder. And you can't forget his tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world. There's not one other fucking podcast that you're watching that has a championship belt wrapped around their microphone, because he is the one and only champion of all the microphones in the entire universe. And his name is Mr. Blue, the Snowball Microphone. And we are so glad to be with you here on Sledgehammer TV each and every week for your Raw review, SmackDown review, Mae Young Classic reviews, and everything you need in the world of professional wrestling. This is your home for it. Make sure you are subscribed, stay notified, and like and share at your will. That is going to do it, and we are out of here, and we will see you next time right here, baby, on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Good night, you guys.